Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fluent Start, and welcome back to Season 2. Today, we're going to talk about something that can really transform your speaking: storytelling. How to tell stories in English so you can speak longer, more naturally, and more interestingly. Because at some point, learning English is not just about answering questions, it's about being able to talk for longer, to share experiences, to explain something that happened, to keep people interested in what you're saying. But many learners struggle with this. They start a story, and then suddenly they stop. They don't know what to say next, or their story feels too short, too simple, too flat, and the listener loses interest. And again, this is not because your English is bad. It's because storytelling is a skill. And the good news is, you can learn it. I think one of the biggest problems is this. Many learners try to tell a story without structure. They just say things randomly, and that makes the story confusing, hard to follow. So the first thing you need is a simple structure. Not something complicated, just something like this: beginning, middle, end. That's it. In the beginning, you set the situation. You answer simple questions like where, when, and who. For example, you can start with something like, yesterday, I went to a cafe with my friend. Simple, clear.
Now the listener understands the situation. Then you move to the middle. This is where something happens. Maybe something interesting, something unexpected, something funny. For example, and then we realized we forgot our wallet. Now the story becomes more interesting. Something is happening. Then the end. You close the story. You explain what happened after that. For example, so we had to call another friend to help us. Now your story feels complete. Beginning, middle, end. Simple but very effective. Another thing that makes your story more interesting is adding details. Not too many, just enough. Instead of saying, I went somewhere, you can say, I went to a small cafe near my house. Now it feels more real, more visual, more engaging. You can also add feelings, because stories are not just about what happened, they are about how you felt. For example, I was really nervous. I felt so embarrassed. It was actually really fun. These small details make your story more alive, more human. I also think using simple connectors helps a lot. Words like, and then, after that, suddenly, so. These words help your story flow. Without them, your story can feel disconnected. But with them, everything feels smooth, like one continuous story. Another important thing is your tone. If your tone is flat, even an interesting story can feel boring.
But if your tone changes, if you show surprise, excitement, or emotion, your story becomes more engaging. For example, and then something really weird happened. That creates curiosity. It makes people want to listen more. I also want to say this. Your story doesn't need to be amazing. You don't need something dramatic. Even simple daily experiences can be interesting if you tell them in a good way. For example, talking about your day, your class, your weekend. These are simple things, but with a little structure, a little detail, and a little emotion, they become interesting. I think many learners also stop too early. They say one or two sentences, and then they finish. But you can train yourself to extend your story just by adding small things. Add what happened before. Add what happened after. Add how you felt. Add one small detail. And suddenly, your speaking becomes longer, more natural, more fluent. I also think storytelling helps your confidence. Because when you can tell a story, you don't feel stuck anymore. You know how to continue. You know how to expand your ideas. And that changes everything. You're not just answering questions anymore. you're expressing yourself freely, naturally. And that's a big step in learning a language. So maybe next time someone asks you something simple, like, "What did you do yesterday?" Don't give a short answer. Turn it into a story, even a small one. Just try. Beginning, middle, end. And see how it feels. Anyway, if storytelling still feels difficult right now, that's okay. It takes practice. But the more you try, the easier it becomes. And slowly, you will be able to speak longer, more clearly, more confidently. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope this episode helps you start telling your own stories in English. Not perfectly, but naturally. Thank you for listening to Fluent Start. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.